He was 16 years old, broke, lonely, and posted to a town he had never heard of. His uniform was French, but his heart was still Corsican. Welcome back to Research Histogram. This is episode 2 of our Napoleon Bonaparte series. Last time, we saw how a poor boy from Corsica became a French artillery officer against all odds. Today, we watch that officer find his destiny. Valence, a small quiet town in southern France. This is where Napoleon found himself in 1785, with a dead father, a struggling family, and a salary so small he could barely afford to eat. Life as a junior officer was nothing like he had imagined. No battles, no glory, no adventure, just endless drills, paperwork, and waiting. The other officers came from wealthy noble families. They had money, connections, and confidence. They spent their evenings at lavish dinner parties. Napoleon had none of that. He spent his evenings alone, reading, always reading. He consumed books on mathematics, history, military strategy, philosophy. He read about Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, the greatest commanders who ever lived. He was not reading for pleasure. He was preparing for what he did not yet know. But something inside him refused to stop preparing. His pay was so low that he skipped meals to send money home to his mother. He counted every single coin, but he never complained. He never quit. Because Napoleon Bonaparte had something that none of those wealthy officers had. He had hunger. Real, desperate, unstoppable hunger. And then, in 1789, everything changed. France was in crisis. A deep, terrible crisis that had been building for decades. The country was bankrupt. The harvests had failed. Bread prices had exploded. Ordinary people were starving in the streets, while the royal court at Versailles lived in unimaginable luxury. King Louis XVI was weak, indecisive, and completely out of touch. The anger had been building for years, and in the summer of 1789, it finally exploded. On July 14th, an angry mob stormed the Bastille, a royal prison that had become the symbol of tyranny and oppression. It was supposed to be just a riot, but it was actually a revolution. Within weeks, French society was collapsing. The nobility was losing its power. The church was losing its authority. The king was losing his throne. And how did Napoleon feel about all of this? He was electrified. The revolution spoke directly to everything he believed in. It said that a man should rise based on his talent, his intelligence, his courage, not based on who his father was. For a boy who had spent his entire life being mocked, ignored, and looked down upon. This was the most beautiful idea he had ever heard. But before Napoleon could seize this opportunity, he had one last piece of unfinished business: Corsica. He returned to his homeland, hoping to help shape its future. He sought the support of Pasquale Paoli, the great Corsican patriot he had admired his entire life. But Paoli looked at him and turned him away. The rejection was devastating. Paoli did not trust the Bonaparte family. He saw Napoleon as an opportunist, and he wanted nothing to do with him. Then, things got worse. Napoleon's involvement in Corsican politics put his entire family in danger. In 1793, the Bonaparte home was ransacked, their property seized. His mother, his brothers, his sisters were forced to flee in the middle of the night. Napoleon stood on the shore of Corsica and watched his homeland disappear into the distance. And in that moment, something shifted inside him forever. The dream of Corsican independence was gone. Corsica had rejected him. Paoli had rejected him. His homeland had rejected him. So Napoleon made a decision that would change the course of history. If Corsica did not want him, then France would have him. All of him. He was no longer Napoleon de Bonaparte the Corsican. He was Napoleon Bonaparte, the Frenchman. And France was at war with almost every major power in Europe. It needed soldiers, real soldiers, talented soldiers. Napoleon Bonaparte was ready, more than ready. And in episode 3, we will watch this transformed young soldier walk onto a battlefield for the very first time and show the world exactly what he was capable of. The siege of Toulon is coming, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button because this series only gets more intense from here. And before you go, tell me in the comments, Napoleon lost his homeland forever in this episode. Have you ever had to leave something behind to move forward in life? Until next time.